I want to welcome you to this time that we have together. If you are joining us virtually, what a wonderful opportunity it is for you to come together. If you are watching this to add to your experience of our in-person study, I want to welcome you as well. My name is Pastor Andrew. I'm the pastor here at Beech Grove United Methodist Church, and this is an exciting season for us here at Beech Grove United Methodist Church because we are entering a time of strategic visioning. And this is an opportunity for us as a congregation to hit a pause button on what we are doing and to really take an opportunity to pray and discern about where God is calling us, what God is calling us to do, and what the vision for this church is. And so we're taking this time to really understand and reflect on who we are, on who is around us, and on what is happening. And one of the things that we're doing to begin this strategic visioning opportunity is we are taking this opportunity to surround not just ourselves as individuals, but surround this church and surround this community with prayer. And we're doing that in a very interesting and innovative way. And it is this idea of breakthrough prayer, this idea of breakthrough prayer that I am borrowing from and learning from the Reverend Sue Nilsson Kibbey as we find these ways for God to break through, for God to come in and work within this community. And these breakthrough prayers are these short, direct, to the point prayers. And in fact, if you have joined us for worship, you will have heard a couple of these prayers already that we are learning about in our worship series, Prayer Rocks. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring forward this breakthrough prayer initiative. But again, I wanted none of this to be just Pastor Andrew dictating and telling us what to do. And so what I wanted was an opportunity for us to engage in consultation with our sermon series on what does a breakthrough prayer initiative at Beech Grove look like? What could it be? What does it mean for us to be praying together? And so over the course of the next 4 weeks, in conjunction with our in-person study, we'll have this virtual study, which is going to be just a 10 to 15 minute just devotional period where we're going to explore the themes of the book that we're studying that I'm going to show you in a second. We're going to explore the themes of this book and hopefully as a community together with the in-person group that's meeting on Wednesday nights at 6:30 and our church council, our administrative council, we are going to create a breakthrough prayer initiative that is going to guide and shepherd us through this time of visioning, and even as we put a vision together, that our vision would become our breakthrough prayer as well. And we would be praying these breakthrough prayers as we seek to be the disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. That is our mission as United Methodists. And our vision helps to inform how we enact our mission. So let's get down to business and let's get down to what we are here to do. So we're going to be exploring this book, Open Road by Sue Nilsson Kibbey. Again, like a wonderfully amazing, talented, visionary pastor who is guiding us along this breakthrough prayer journey. And we're going to be unpacking this book. It's a 4-chapter book, and so it's only going to be a 4-week study. What I want you to do with these videos is if you would take the opportunity to watch these videos in their entirety, and then I will leave you both at the end of the video and in the description section with some questions for you to read, reflect, ponder upon, maybe journal them, and hopefully those questions will inform discussion that we will be having around the church. Friends, if you want to journal the answers to those questions and you want to email me the answer to those questions, or you want to come find me and have conversation around those questions, please feel free to do that. My contact information is on I'm going to put it right here in the description to this passage. If you want to email me, it is pastor@beechgroveumc.org, but I will put that in the description section for this video so that I have the information. Like, I want to hear from you all about what is going on in your heart, what's going on in your mind. How are you reflecting on these ideas that we are presenting? So let's get down to business. So the first chapter, oh, sorry, by the way, if you do not have a copy of this book and you would like a copy of this book, please reach out to us and let us know. We have copies of these books that we have ordered for $10. You can also order them on Amazon or Cokesbury. I believe they're a little bit more there, but we are offsetting some of the cost with some of our education funds. But if you are interested in a book, please let us know. Contact our church office or find me on Sunday mornings. If you are here, they're going to be $10. We're just putting in another order for books. And so if you need a book, come and see me or contact us and we will make sure you get one. So let's dive into this opening section. So the book is called Open Road because Kibbey is trying to create for us in this time an understanding of this idea of a Christian journey, right? We are journeying down this road. And Kibbey is inviting us to create this sense of the open road that lies ahead of us. And I love the way she introduces this idea of an open road because she uses this Walt Whitman poem that I want to read. I want to read the excerpt that she has for you. It's on page 7 and 8 in this book. And so if you have the book and you want to follow along, it is this excerpt from Walt Whitman's classic poem about the open road. And it says, "Afoot and lighthearted, I take to the open road, healthy, free, the world before me, the long brown path before me, leading wherever I choose. From this hour, freedom. From this hour, I ordain myself, loosed of limits and imaginary lines. I inhale great draughts of space. The east and the west are mine, and the north and the south are mine. I will recruit for myself and you as I go. I will scatter myself among men and women as I go. I will toss the new gladness and roughness among them. Whoever denies me, it shall not be trouble. Whoever accepts me, he or she shall be blessed and shall bless me." And Kibbey goes on to define the open road there on page 8, saying, "Open road, try this definition, a beckoning to set out upon an unknown, irresistible new journey instead of taking the usual routine route." And so Kibbey sets before us this idea that the open road before us is this new, imaginative, innovative journey that we can take. And she sets before us in this chapter, and as we think about the role that this plays in our community, as we think about these new roads, these new open roads that we are going on, because that's what this visioning process is. This is an open road that we are taking. And friends, it is going to be scary, it is going to be challenging, and there is going to be a lot of uncertainty that is ahead of us. But what Kibbey is telling us and what Kibbey is encouraging us is that when we look at this open road, we have a great and amazing tool. And she uses this image from Matthew chapter 3, where Jesus is calling the disciples, and Jesus calls the disciples off the boat and invites them to come and to journey with her. Jesus invites the disciples to come and journey with him as they go on this new adventure, this open road that lays before them. And Jesus gives them this tool to help to navigate the open road. And Jesus offers it up to us as well, because in Matthew chapter 6, what Kibbey shows to us and what Jesus shows to his disciples is this understanding of prayer. And even more so, Kibbey invites us to consider the way in which Jesus talks about prayer, especially within the Lord's Prayer, is this understanding of breakthrough prayer. And specifically, Kibbey focuses on this idea of thy will be done, right? Many of us are familiar with that line in the Lord's Prayer there in Matthew chapter 6. Where we read and we pray, right? It's that section that says, "Your kingdom come, your will be done." And Kibbey invites that to sort of be the centering understanding of our breakthrough prayer. And when we invite that in and bring that in as an aspect of our prayer, and actually this is going to be a breakthrough prayer that we are going to explore more in a week of our worship series, Prayer Rocks. And so we're going to go a little bit more into this kind of thy will be done breakthrough prayer. But Kibbey is inviting us as a matter of initiative and as a matter of communal understanding of breakthrough prayer to latch on to this idea of thy will be done as we begin to look and see, because this is going to be over and over and over again the nature in which Jesus calls his disciples to preach, is this nature in which we do not look towards our will, right? We do not look toward Pastor Andrew, and this is why this is a congregational journey. I have said this before. This is not Pastor Andrew trying to lay my claim and say, this is what we are doing because this is what I said, or even saying like, God, ordained this in a vision to me and this is what God has showed me. No, because to me, I don't think that is a healthy understanding of church vision, right? I can bring what I feel God is calling me to do. And I do believe that God has brought me here for a reason. And God, the gifts that God has given me are going to have a place within this community. I truly believe that. But in no way do I think that I am the ultimate authority on what is good and what is right for this Beech Grove community. I want that to be a part of a greater conversation that we have, that we unpack for what is God's will for this community. And you see, that's what Kibbey is encouraging us to explore in this chapter. You see, Kibbey lays forth this model of understanding and reconnecting us to vision by really beginning to establish the ways in which we view ourselves as a church. And so if we are going to view ourselves as a church that has vision and has purpose, then we have to establish that mindset. And Kibbey is calling us to do this in a sense of how we pray. And so she encourages us in this manner by laying out this understanding of, are we an organization or are we a movement? I invite you to go and to look at that section of the first chapter as we wrestle with whether we are an organization or a movement. Unfortunately, I think if we unpack it as we ourselves as a church, we might often think ourselves falling more into the organization area. And this is not to say that that is necessarily a bad thing, because the church needs organization. The church needs to be organized. It needs to be set and it needs to be ready to go, because if it is not organized, then how can we call ourselves a movement? How can we then, in fact, live out the vision that God is giving to us? But I think what Kibbey is getting at, what I would encourage us to reflect on is, are we sacrificing movement? Are we sacrificing vision for organization? Right? Do we get more down in the weeds about those administrative things in our church? Or are we in that mindset of living for who God calls us to be? And Kibbey really calls us to reflect on this. Kibbey calls us to understand and see, and if you're looking with me, this is on page 18, as she begins to define a movement. A movement can be defined as a rapid progression of events or a series of actions and activities trending towards a new direction. And so as we look at that in juxtaposition to her understanding of what it means to have this organizational mindset, right? Are we routinely relying on church leaders or staff expertise as our main source of wisdom, right? This is not Pastor Andrew's vision. This is our church's vision. Are we using projected limitations of our current bank account? Like, are we allowing our finances to hinder us, or do we feel hindered by our finances? Are we endlessly discussing or debating our own ideas? And I mean, are we urging church leaders to step up? When Kibbey talks about a movement, she is talking about something that is grounded in prayer, a movement mindset. What if we both modeled ourselves and brought/taught the entire congregation the miraculous movemental ingredient of the kind of prayer Jesus taught us to add? And she's really establishing this understanding of movement and really establishing this idea of a breakthrough prayer initiative in our lives, and gives us at the end of that first chapter the idea and discussion that can guide us in this understanding. You see, I will warn us that it's not a problem to be focused on those organizational, those administrative kind of things. I mean, I'm not going to say that those things aren't important, because if they weren't important, it would make it very hard for us to do our ministry. But you see, when we allow those things to control the dialogue and conversation of who we are, right? If we're sitting at council meetings or committee meetings and we're completely and totally lost in these administrative things, and we completely miss out on the mission and ministry that we could be focused on, are we hindering ourselves? Are we stopping ourselves in our tracks, right? If we're doing these things and we're not focused on God's will, then what is the point of our community? And so we start this discussion with looking and understanding what it is God is calling us to do. But you see, before we get there, before we can even consider getting on that open road, are we willing to? Right? If we're not willing to pray, if we're not willing to just blanket everything we do in prayer, then what are we doing here? Every Thursday when I come to the office, it's a very unstructured day for me. I don't have office hours. I don't have an agenda unless I'm kind of behind on some of my other work during the week. But what I'll often do is I'll often just walk around our building and I'll just pray over every space that is occupied, not just on Sunday morning, but throughout the week. I'll walk through our fellowship hall and I'll pray for all the groups that have gathered and will gather in the coming week. I'll walk down our hallway and I'll think about all the feet that will tread across this hallway. I'll walk into our music room and I'll think about our music folks and our tech folks who are tirelessly volunteering to help and make sure that worship runs smoothly. I'll walk into our sanctuary and I'll pray over every pew. I'll pray over every person who is going to sit in those pews. Friends, I'll walk upstairs and I'll pray over classrooms that may or may not be occupied by people during the week. And then I'll walk outside to our outdoor worship space and I will bless and sanctify that space as well with prayer. Friends, I will do a prayer walk as I go through the building, as I go through our grounds for everything that will happen, because we need to blanket what we do in prayer. And we need to be intentional about the ways in which we do it. And so I will wrap up our virtual time here. Reminder that there are going to be some discussion questions. Look below in the description to this video for you to reflect on and for you to journal on. And again, you are more than welcome to send those to me. But friends, as we go forth from this space today, may we be filled with the spirit and blessing of God as we go forth to serve, and may it be God's will and not ours as we consider what it is God is calling us to do. Grace and peace. Amen.